Good morning, friends. Hopefully, some of you started playing Stellaris. Hopefully, you're liking it. You know, it's on sale right now at Steam for like $9.99. And no, full disclaimer, I don't work for Steam. I just play a lot of video games. Um, I'm about 12 hours in, and I wanted to share my progress with you. So, as I said, I normally build like four or five. In this game, I actually built like six or seven science ships. Three of them got lost too. Either space leviathans or pirates, or in a couple of cases, I've started running into other empires. As you can see, I've charted well over 100 systems through being able to use multiple science ships. And I sent them out in all directions, northwest, east, and south. On the west, I ran into all these guys, and it's interesting because I've got a cluster of neighbors here. However, I'm a very diplomatic player, and so I've been able to keep them from starting wars with me, wars with each other, and trying to kind of start a bit of a coalition. I'll let you know in the next 12 hours how that turns out. But so far, it's working out very well. As I said yesterday when I was talking about policies, a lot of these are going to really set you up and determine how your neighbors respond to you. One thing I didn't point out yesterday, I mean, I did point it out, but I pointed it out in my description, is initial border status. You want to set it to close. It's actually defaults to being open. It's open by default. And what that means is when you're expanding your empire, if you create choke points, it's not going to matter. What they'll be able to do. See, if I didn't have these choke points here, like my neighbor here or my neighbor here would be able to just waltz in on these hyperlanes and then start populating or taking over these sectors. Now, these are closed off based on my borders and the fact that I have initial closed border status with everyone. And that stays closed unless I decide to open my borders to them, which most of the time I don't. Not until at least I'm finished expanding. And then you open up all of your borders. You open up your borders to everyone, and then you become everybody's sweetheart because then you're not impeding them. But by then it doesn't matter. Same thing here. Like close this off and have really good relationships with these neighbors. You know, these guys are kind of getting upset because they don't have any room to expand. I'm hoping they go to war with these guys. I've been able to secure a number of continental worlds like already. Like I have three. I have them sectored out. The Valar sector, the Gindic sector, and the Karos sector. And that's for helping with sprawl and whatnot, because as large as my empire is already, I haven't really gone too far into sprawl, even though the minute you tip over as a mega corporation, I suffer a plus 50% penalty, so that kind of hurts. Fleets. I'll probably do a whole separate thing on fleets, but I try to maintain one massive fleet so that wherever I send it, it pretty much is like the message. A couple of other things here that I didn't really get into yesterday. I did talk about the diplomatic stance, the war philosophy, orbital bombardment. That's just more has to do with like how you approach war, native interference. I'm like, hey, do whatever, but I'm taking it from a space perspective. So you may want to be a little bit more, I don't know, humanitarian. But I'm figuring I'm going to be running into aliens, so they don't care anything about humanitarianism. Land appropriation prohibited, so that is an interesting one. I keep it prohibited because the population of conquered planets, if you don't have that on, if you have that actually allowed, when another species takes over one of your planets, all of your inhabitants will be transferred to your other planets, which could be a huge population issue. Population issues are things that you really start running into on your planets mid to late game. if you don't build certain things and have certain edicts and whatnot in place. So I talked enough, I think, about policies yesterday. Something that influence will start allowing you to purchase, and other like resources are edicts. Edicts are these things that you can enact that stay in place until you cancel them. And they just give you certain bonuses, like Map to Stars will allow you to survey things faster and to research anomalies faster, so on and so forth. You can go through all of these. Those are things that allow you to refine and tailor your gameplay. The one I'm waiting for is Diplomatic Grants. It gives you another envoy. And envoys are very important to my particular style of play because I like to play as a diplomatic or economic leader. Something else to point out that I didn't really touch on yesterday was the traditions tree. You can approach this in a number of ways. I have found I either start with expansion or discovery most of the time. I've been going with discovery more and more because discovery, you initially get a boost to research speed, and then like one of the first things is you are able to get a 35% boost to survey speed. Surveying is what you do when you're identifying all the planets and resources in all your star systems, and that's how I was able to do this. So now what I'm doing is I'm trying to expand, and the problem with that is I'm running into an influence gain issue because I made a mistake. Non-aggression pacts, research agreements, and commercial pacts all cost influence. And as a result, I'm pretty sure I'm going to have to, in fact, I think I'm going to do it right now and see what happens. I'm going to have to cancel all of those. So non-aggression pact, I am going to break my non-aggression pact because I need to have the influence. This will hurt my diplomatic standing, and understandably, but right now I don't really see an alternative, and I don't want to slow down my expansion, which is why I'm bringing this up. There are a number of ways for your allies to slow you down. I close my borders. I don't allow my borders to be open. So a non-aggression pact doesn't open my borders to a neighbor like a defensive pact does. However, it does drain my influence gain per turn. Each one of these star systems takes 74 influence until you get the discovery tradition. One of the discovery traditions that gives you the 35% speed increase and a decrease in the cost. Then it becomes something like 60, 63 or 67, which really starts making a difference when you're trying to expand quickly, because you can't expand quickly without influence. So while I have all of these star systems mapped out, without the influence to be able to settle them, it's not doing me a whole lot of good. So what I'm doing right now is I'm literally, as I said, do I have a research agreement with them? A research agreement. I am canceling all agreements. Hopefully this won't start a diplomatic firestorm. It may. And, well, you'll be able to see in a few turns or not whether or not it does. What I want to show you here, though, is the impact just these small things have on influence and other very, very important key drivers early on in the game. I believe, oh, there's still a research agreement. There it is. Now that gives us a research boost and all that. I don't want a research boost. Like right now, what I want is I want to get my influence back up.
Incoming inquiry. Incoming transmission.
See, now I went from earning 1 per turn to 3. And they all want to form commercial pacts and all these little things that nibble on my influence gain. Now I'll be able to expand at pace because it'll take me far fewer turns to get to the 67.
Incoming transmission.
67 that I'll need to be able to just inhabit another star system. That's it for now. There are a few other things I could go into, but I want to expand a little bit more before I do. Stay tuned. Have fun.